Okay, Marty, there's a great idea and then there's a great plan. How do you get the great idea into being a great plan? What steps does it take to get a business idea into a business plan?
Well, I just start writing. To me, I hear a lot about, I don't need a business plan anymore. I even heard some guy speaking from Silicon Valley who says, I don't read business plans. Well, my view is that if you have sold your last company for $800 million, you don't need a business plan.
Right.
You're already a proven entity. But most importantly, if you haven't, you need to make sure you've covered all the bases. And not many people have the capability to keep all of those details in their mind. And so I like to write things down, and then I see the flaws. I see their weaknesses here, and so it helps me to work it out. Secondly, I can pass that document by, say, an expert or an investor and get some feedback, and consistently get some feedback. I run into a lot of entrepreneurs who say, I'll just tell you about this, let me talk,
Yeah.
and they go this way, and probably when they talk to another person, they go a different way. They can't get any feedback that's consistent, and so they're misled into thinking they're on the right track.
What would happen if you got multiple input that was maybe conflicting, that maybe you show your business plan to one guy and to another person, another gal, and then they all had kind of different input to give you? What does that tell you about your business plan?
Well, it probably tells you that the business plan isn't communicating clearly. It doesn't tell you it's wrong. It just says you haven't sent your message clearly. I often have that discussion with entrepreneurs to say, it sounds great, it has some very positives and very negatives, but the message doesn't come out. I can remember, for example, sitting in angel meetings where we're listening to entrepreneurs, and my friend leans over to me after 6 or 8 minutes and says, I have no idea yet what the problem is.
Oh, that's a problem.
And so you have to get the problem out,
Right.
You have to get the solution out, you have to get the business model out, you have to get the competition out, you have to talk about your team, you have to, in fact, talk about what you're asking for an investment if you are, what your projections are. There are about 10 things that have to all come across clearly. And if they don't come across clearly, you're going to lose. It isn't going to work with customers, it isn't going to work with investors, whatever.
Right. How, a lot of entrepreneurs, we mentioned this before, they jump in, they want to start without a business plan. And you said a successful business person that's already done this several times does maybe fine without one because they know it from beginning to end. What's the biggest problem with people that don't have a business plan? What do you see the biggest issue?
Well, typically they don't get anywhere because they don't know where they're going. They don't really have a plan. That's right.
Yeah.
There's a country song that I love that says, if you don't know where you're going, you're probably going to end up somewhere else.
Yeah, right.
And in fact, they can work very hard for a year and then say, I don't know if I've made any progress or not because I never had any measurements, and maybe I'm going this way instead of that way. And so set yourself some goals, set yourself some milestones, do some measurements. You don't have to meet every measurement, but at least you have to get some feedback from that as to how things are going. See, some people recommend that you write a 30-page business plan to start. I actually recommend that you start with what I call an executive summary, 2 pages. Write your whole plan, all of the projections, everything, all the information better be on 2 pages. That's what you can hand to an investor and say, isn't this exciting?
Right.
And in fact, then write 10 slides or a set of slides which really does the same thing but in a little more detail. Then, if they're still very interested, people might say, I want to see your business plan before I write you a check, just to make sure you have meat on the bones. So you can build up that kind of thing.
Do you do it more of an outline kind of a format, or do you paragraphs, or how do you just?
I don't like outlines. I mean, you can use an outline to start, but you have to hand me a document. People want to hand me a document that says, okay, I have section 1 on marketing or something. What do you think? And I say, I don't think anything.
There's not enough here, right?
I want to see the whole story because some people have all their strength in marketing, some might have it in the technology, some might have it in the people, and the whole document comes together. I say, don't hand me an 8th grade finished document that says TBD, to be done on half of it. It's not done yet.
What advice would you give our students in terms of having their idea be sustainable? I mean, it's one thing getting to market, being a certain entry that you're able to get to a certain point, but how can you keep that idea?
Well, sustainability is a couple of things. One is that it has to make some money. If it doesn't make any money, it's not sustainable because you're gonna run out of money, no matter
Right.
how rich your uncle is.
Mhm.
On the other hand, you can get killed by competitors, so sustainable usually means having some intellectual property, having a patent, having trademarks, having some protection on the idea. And so, beyond that, it means moving fast. It means evolving, having total innovation, continuous innovation, foresight,
Mhm.
keeping up with the market, that kind of thing.